Welcome to Insightful Gaming, your go-to source for powerful Destiny 2 builds and strategies. Today, we're diving into the ultimate Strand Warlock build, designed to transform you into a Threadling-generating machine. Whether you're battling waves of enemies, holding down choke points, or dealing with high-tier bosses, this build has everything you need to dominate the battlefield. With endless swarms of explosive Threadlings, constant ability uptime, and unmatched crowd control, this setup is perfect for PvE activities like strikes, dungeons, and raids. This build is centered around maximizing Threadling production, turning your enemies into living bombs that explode in chaotic waves. With the right combination of exotic armor, weapons, abilities, and mods, you'll create a feedback loop that keeps your Threadlings spawning, abilities regenerating, and enemies unraveling. The Swarmer's exotic leg armor is the star of this build, amplifying the power of Threadlings and creating endless opportunities to devastate anything in your path. If you're ready to weave destruction with Strand and become the master of Threadlings, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Insightful Gaming for more Destiny 2 builds and guides. Let us know in the comments. If you have ideas or tweaks for this build, we're always excited to feature your suggestions in future videos. Now, let's jump into the core of this build and break down how you can turn your Warlock into an unstoppable force. At the heart of this build is the Swarmer's exotic leg armor, and it's the key to transforming your Strand Warlock into a Threadling-generating powerhouse. Swarmers come with a unique perk that takes Threadling damage to the next level. When your Threadlings damage an enemy, they cause that enemy to become unraveled. Unraveling is a powerful strand effect that sends out seeking projectiles from affected enemies, spreading even more damage to nearby targets. This creates chain reactions of destruction, amplifying your Threadlings' impact across entire groups of enemies. But Swarmers don't stop there. Whenever you destroy a Tangle, which is a green strand orb created by killing enemies with strand damage, Swarmers spawn additional Threadlings. This means every time you make a kill and generate a Tangle, you're not only adding damage, but also fueling your Threadling army. The ability to turn Tangles into more Threadlings keeps the cycle going, ensuring that no enemy survives long enough to regroup. What makes Swarmers truly devastating is their ability to stack effects. Threadlings not only deal damage, but also create debuffs through unraveling, making targets easier to kill. When combined with strand weapons, grenade abilities, and mods focused on energy regeneration, Swarmers fuel a continuous loop of Threadling creation. Weapons play a vital role in enhancing this build's ability to generate Threadlings and maintain consistent damage output. For the primary weapon, we're using Different Times, a legendary pulse rifle equipped with the Hatchling perk. Hatchling is one of the best synergies for this build, as it spawns a Threadling whenever you land precision final blows. Each precision kill fuels your Threadling army, adding explosive minions to overwhelm enemies without relying solely on abilities. If you don't have Different Times, any primary weapon with the Hatchling perk will work. Another great weapon to use with this build is the Quicksilver Storm. Not to mention, the weapon can turn Strand once you have the catalyst. For the special weapon, we're running Diris, an exotic grenade launcher that excels at both single target damage and area of effect destruction. It's perfect for clearing groups of enemies quickly, while also dealing significant damage to tougher targets when needed. This weapon provides reliable firepower and pairs well with the build's ability-focused playstyle, ensuring you can handle both crowds and high-priority enemies effectively. For heavy firepower, we're bringing Apex Predator, a rocket launcher with the Bait and Switch and Reconstruction perks. Bait and Switch delivers a massive damage boost after cycling through all your weapons, making it an excellent choice for dealing with bosses or champions. Meanwhile, Reconstruction automatically reloads the launcher over time, ensuring you're always prepared to fire without worrying about running out of ammo in critical moments. Abilities are the backbone of this build, fueling the Threadling loop and ensuring constant ability uptime. Starting with the class ability, we're using Healing Rift. Not only does this ability provide healing and survivability, but it also spawns 3 Threadlings whenever it's cast, thanks to the Weaver's Call aspect. This turns your Rift into an offensive tool that generates Threadlings on demand while keeping you alive in dangerous situations. For melee, we're running Arcane Needle, a tracking projectile that applies Weaken to enemies. Weakened enemies take increased damage and make it easier to trigger ability regeneration through damage dealt. The Threadling grenade is at the center of this build's offensive capabilities. Throwing this grenade spawns 3 Threadlings that aggressively track down enemies and explode, dealing massive damage. If unused, these Threadlings will perch and can be unleashed later when you cast Healing Rift, adding flexibility to how and when you apply pressure to enemies. This build uses 2 aspects to fuel Threadling production. Weaver's Call spawns 3 Threadlings whenever you cast Healing Rift and releases any perched Threadlings you've saved. It turns your Rift into an offensive tool, keeping Threadlings flowing even when grenades are on cooldown. Mind Spun Invocation enhances Threadling grenades, allowing them to perch extra Threadlings that attack later when triggered. For Fragments, we're running 4 choices that boost ability regeneration and Threadling output. Thread of Generation regenerates grenade energy when dealing damage, keeping Threadling grenades ready. Thread of Rebirth spawns Threadlings from Strand weapon kills, pairing perfectly with Hatchling perks. Thread of Evolution increases Threadling damage and travel range, making them deadlier across wider areas. Finally, we are using Thread of Propagation for unraveling rounds. This is a flex spot. You can also use Thread of Warding for some defense. This build's armor mods focus on ability regeneration, orb generation, and Threadling uptime. On the helmet, Harmonic Siphon generates orbs of power from Strand multi-kills, while 2 Dynamo mods reduce super cooldown when using Healing Rift near enemies. For the gauntlets, 2 Focusing Strikes grant class ability energy from melee hits and Grenade Kickstart for more grenade energy. On the chest, Charged Up increases armor charge capacity for more energy regeneration, while defensive mods boost resistances to keep you alive. The boots use Invigoration to reduce melee cooldowns and Insulation to restore class ability energy when collecting orbs. Stacks on Stacks grants extra armor charges to fuel energy-based mods. Finally, the Bond includes Outreach to lower melee cooldowns and Bomber to reduce grenade cooldowns. Finally, a Reaper mod for Orb of Power. This build transforms your Strand Warlock into a Threadling-generating powerhouse, capable of overwhelming enemies with explosive swarms while maintaining high survivability and ability uptime. By combining the Swarmer's exotic with Hatchling weapons, Threadling grenades, and a carefully selected mod setup, you create a feedback loop that keeps your abilities ready and your enemies unraveling. If you're ready to become the ultimate Threadling commander, give this build a try and watch enemies fall before your explosive minions. Be sure to like and subscribe for more Destiny 2 builds and guides, and let us know in the comments how this build is working for you. Have a great rest of your day.